Good Monday afternoon, and thanks for being with us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. This afternoon, Iran has a new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. He is the son of the late Ayatollah, who was killed during the joint U.S.-Israeli strikes last week. This comes as the conflict in the Middle East continues to escalate. NBC's Matt Bradley has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Well, everyone in Israel, everyone in the Middle East, and maybe even the world is now watching Iran's new leader, Mojtaba al-Khamenei, who was just appointed last night by the Advisory Council in charge of picking the successor to his slain father. His whole family has since been killed, and he is not the kind of man who President Trump would want to appoint. He did call him a lightweight, but the fact is that this is a man who is 56 years old. He's very close with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is very powerful in Iran and answers directly to the country's leaders. He also in the past has opposed reformers who have tried to reach out to the West and have offered to curtail Iran's nuclear program. So he really is exactly the kind of person that experts on Iran had warned Israel and the United States could take over. Someone who's not only as hardline as his father, but might be even more hardline. Now, Israel is continuing to pound energy targets inside Iran, sending pollution, soot, smoke, and oil into the air. The Iranians have protested, saying that this is causing an environmental catastrophe and that it could risk the health of Iranian civilians. Important to note that when Russia attacks energy installations in Ukraine, it is widely condemned by the international community as a war crime. And even the International Criminal Court has issued charges against Russian leaders for doing exactly what Israel is now doing in Iran. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
If you haven't already noticed, gas prices are up, way up. The conflict in the Middle East is leading to higher oil prices, and that's pushing gas prices higher at the pump. Now, we just checked AAA. The national average is $3.47 a gallon. That's a 48-cent jump from just 1 week ago. Here in Minnesota, state average is $3.25 a gallon. You can find the latest gas prices on our website anytime. Just log on to KARE11.com/gas-prices. In response to the rising oil and gas prices, President Trump posted on social media saying the increase is a small price to pay for the U.S., the world, safety, and peace. He also said the spike in prices would only be for a short time and would end once Iran's nuclear threat is over. Developing today, an investigative journalist group called Bellingcat says new footage shows what's likely a U.S. missile hitting a compound in southern Iran near an all-girls school. The video adds to a growing body of evidence that the U.S. is responsible for the February 28th strike on the school that killed over 165 people. A U.S. official familiar with the matter also told NBC that it was likely an American strike, in contradiction to President Trump's claims that Iran was responsible for that blast. At this time, no independent agency has been able to reach the site in order to conduct an investigation. As fighting continues and the president says things will intensify, people from Iran now living in Minnesota are watching what's happening closely. Heidi Wigdahl heard from some of them.
In the Cedar Riverside neighborhood, Nader Persian Restaurant,
the real Persian kebabs,
is a family-run business.
These are the famous foods in Iran. Sultani kebab.
For Mohammed Firuza, it's a taste of a home he says he has not been able to return to since 2018 because of the Iranian regime.
And they didn't like me because I was U.S. citizen. They destroyed my company. They demolished it.
Mohammed says while in Iran, he went to jail for protesting the regime. His family members have too.
Some of my family are dead. It's sad.
Jailed and tortured, Mohammed says his brother died a few weeks ago after his release, while his cousin recently protested the regime.
She was killed when she was tortured.
So when Mohammed heard the news that Iran's supreme leader had been killed in a joint U.S.-Israel military operation,
I was happy. You know, this is sad thing. You cannot be happy when somebody attacks your homeland, your country. You know, you got to be upset about it. No, I am not, because we couldn't fight against this regime.
This tragedy with Iran now should be taken to the United Nations.
Jay Shahidi is a past president of the United Nations Association of Minnesota, who grew up in Iran, coming to the U.S. in 1968.
When you go assassinate the leader of a of a group, especially somebody who had a religious position, then you're probably creating a martyr.
Jay wants to see democracy in Iran, but first, he believes a ceasefire is needed.
Let's kill the head dictator and everything is going to be okay. No. A government is not like your air conditioner that you change the engine and everything is going to work.
If my country becomes free, then I can easily go back and, help the people.
While the family provides a taste of home, they're hopeful one day they can return.
And we are hoping, we get our country back. That's our wishes.
Mohammed said he is worried about his family, but has no idea how they're doing. Iran's internet blackout has entered a second week. The government cut the internet shortly after the U.S.-Israeli attacks. This afternoon, a new NBC News poll shows more than half of Americans are not happy with the direction of the country, and most are blaming the Trump administration. It shows 54% of registered voters who were surveyed say they disapprove of President Trump's job performance so far in his second term, with about 44% approving. The biggest issues for voters right now is their finances. When it comes to the president's job performance regarding inflation and the cost of living, the disapproval numbers are even higher, 62%. That's up from the same time last year. Only 36% of people approve of how Trump is doing on those particular issues right now. 48% of the voters polled say the president's policies are hurting the economy, with 35% saying they've actually helped. Border security was the only major issue that a majority of voters had a positive view of Trump. We're taking a live look now at our nation's capital. President Trump is telling lawmakers he will not sign any new bills until the Save America Act is passed. That legislation, which would overhaul voting laws and require proof of citizenship to vote, faces an uphill battle in the Senate. In an interview with NBC News last week, Trump said the bill is so important that he would close the government over it. Experts say non-citizen voting is illegal and uncommon. Well, we are nearly 1 month into the Department of Homeland Security shutdown, and we're starting to see the impact on travel as spring break ramps up. At MSP today, travelers have been waiting anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes to get through TSA. However, no major disruptions or cancellations. That's very different from what we've seen in other major airports over the weekend. At Houston's Hobby Airport, officials say some people waited 3 hours to go through airport security. And in New Orleans, that line stretched into a parking garage, also taking several hours. The Department of Homeland Security says the delays are tied to the partial government shutdown, which has left TSA agents working without pay. That partial shutdown stems from a standoff in Congress, with Democrats demanding changes to immigration enforcement before approving new Homeland Security funding. The White House and Senate Democrats have traded offers in the past weeks, but there is no deal yet. Well, developing right now, Live Nation's antitrust battle with the federal government might be over. A source says the sides have reached a settlement days after beginning the trial. Details of the deal are unclear at this point, and a judge would also have to sign off on that plan. Live Nation owns Ticketmaster, which came under fire for botching ticket sales of Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. The company is also being accused of monopolizing the live events music industry. This week, Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey will decide whether to veto a measure requiring landlords to give renters 60 days notice before filing an eviction. It comes after the Minneapolis City Council voted 7-5 on the new ordinance to help families impacted by Operation Metro Surge. Supporters of the policy say there's a looming eviction crisis and that residents need more time to find assistance. Others, though, say it could hurt renters by digging them deeper in debt.
We need to buy time to keep people in their homes, and to do nothing in this moment is only going to mean more evictions happening.
This is not an easy fix. This is not a remedy that is going to bring lasting results.
This policy would apply to all renters facing eviction. The St. Paul City Council is also considering a similar extension. Right now, a man is in the hospital after being shot in downtown Minneapolis. It happened around 11:30 Saturday night near the convention center. When officers arrived, they found that man with serious gunshot injuries. We have very few details at this point, but police say they do believe the man was outside when he was shot and that the suspect then drove off. We checked with police last night. So far, no arrests have been made. Today, the man accused of burning down the iconic Lutsen Lodge is back in court. Prosecutors say owner Bryce Campbell started the fire 2 years ago to escape his growing financial problems. Investigators say records show he had nearly $14 million worth of business debts at the time of the fire. He later filed a $16 million insurance claim on the lodge. For the first time this afternoon, we're hearing from New York City's mayor after police say someone threw an explosive device at anti-Muslim protesters outside the mayor's mansion. The FBI and NYPD say both suspects made pro-ISIS statements when they were arrested. One of the men allegedly threw a device during dueling protests on Saturday. One of those protests was an anti-Islam protest led by far-right influencer Jake Lang. New York police say one of the items was capable of, quote, causing serious injury or death, adding that it is extremely fortunate that it did not go off.
While I found this protest appalling, I will not waver in my belief that it should be allowed to happen. Ours is a free society where the right to peaceful protest is sacred. It does not belong only to those we agree with. It belongs to everyone.
The mayor says officials suspect the men traveled from Pennsylvania to New York to commit an act of terrorism. Authorities say right now there's no evidence to connect the attempted attacks to the war with Iran. Well, Team USA is racking up medals in just the first few days of competition at the Paralympics. For the men, Noah Elliott and Minnesota native Mike Schultz both competed in the snowboard cross event yesterday. Elliott snagged a silver medal, but unfortunately, Schultz missed out on the podium. Kate Delson also won silver in the women's snow cross event. Congrats to them. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.